Just started streaming now.
Okay, good.
So you just want me to talk a little bit?
Yeah, just give me a second. Let me see the stream.
It's the little square is red. I don't know if that means now it's yellow. Oh, now it's green. Okay.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Okay.
So far, our setup has been fine. It's been really well, actually. Our stream has been like perfect. So okay, let's let me just see how it's looking here. Just a second. Okay.
Should I keep talking?
Yeah.
Testing, 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 test, test, test.
Okay, hold on. Let me see how the stream is coming in. Just a second.
Sorry.
Bing, bong. Okay, now let me turn it up. Yeah, it is a little bit wacky. Hold on. I'm trying to see if it's wacky because you know, if it's streaming and that's the delay. Hold on, let me see. You sat down in your chair. Very good. Closing your eyes. Wake up.
No.
Wake up.
No. Trying to sleep here.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. All right, stop the stream.
All right.
Yeah, just make sure. By the way, how am I looking in the stream?
You're looking good.
And is the table good and everything? I got my coffee.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just important. Appearances are important.
You have your little cup of coffee. You're good. That's right.
Keep it
right there.
Keep it down.
Hey.
Okay, come on. Start the intro.
Okay. Now I need to shout. Intro is starting. Little music is playing. Boom!
Coffee cups are still there.
Yeah, they're still floating in space.
That's great. That's great. Okay. So what are we talking about today? What is the topic?
You have the topic. You know what we're talking about.
We're talking about keeping things simple. Don't overcomplicate things.
Especially in dating.
Well, yeah, that's the context that we're talking about in dating. To keep things simple.
Yeah. And I mean, like, beyond keeping things simple, you know, not overthinking situations or trying to overthink, oh, what did this person really mean by this text or anything like that, really. You know, sometimes the simplest answer is the correct one.
Yeah. And that is something that I feel both men and women do. I would say women a little bit more, but both men and women just overcomplicate things and make things very complex, and needlessly so. And the first thing I wanted to bring up was how basically just the idea of, hey, if it's working, you usually know. and there's usually a next logical step. And if it's not, and you're not enjoying the relationship, the situation, you could just have a conversation. There's usually a logical step, or you could end it. And I wanted to about one specific thing when you and I started dating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will tell that funny little story. When you and I first started dating, it was pretty casual. We kept it light, nothing too fancy. But you would just like every now and then send me some random little texts. And at one point you sent me like a bunch of texts of like pictures and videos of cats, like little gifs of cats, and different things like that. And I was like, oh man, he is just doing this as like an excuse to talk to me. And he's just trying to like slide in and chat with me and whatever.
Little did you know, I'm just obsessed with cats.
Well, right, because then when we go to hang out with your friends, you're like, hey, bro, did you get that cat video I sent you? And I was like, oh, so it's not me. I'm not special. It's just you like cats that much.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, obviously, clearly. And that was a good example of, I could have taken it to mean a whole lot. And like I kind of did. I don't think I went too extreme with it, but it's like I could have continued down that path of, oh, he's just trying to find any sort of excuse to talk to me and blah, blah, blah. But, once I got evidence of, nope, that is not the case, I then took that evidence and changed course.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I also sent you, I'm just obsessed with cats and because they're great. And the other example of that too is you sent me, what's the name of the song? Disclosure Latch. Yeah, by Sam Smith. I think it's featuring Sam Smith.
Oh, okay. But yeah, and that song is like a pretty romantic song.
Right.
And this was maybe like a couple months in of us seeing each other. And that, again, because you just like randomly sent it to me out of the blue. So again, I'm thinking, is he trying to tell me something? I don't really know. Is he trying to like at something more? Or like you want to get more serious, or I don't know. And then the more I get to know you, the more I realize like, nope, that was just, you thought it was an interesting song, and so you sent it, and it meant nothing more than that.
Yeah, for me, so a little backstory on, where I'm coming from in this. I'm just a horrible, terrible texter, and I've gotten that feedback from multiple people, and I think the trick to life is to know your strengths and know your weaknesses. Mm-hmm. And I'm just terrible, and I have a lot of the times a roundabout way of communicating myself. And so for me, besides communicating myself in a roundabout way, it's just like I'll do things that make sense to me, but wouldn't necessarily make sense to the other person. Mm-hmm. And, I just like cats. My friend sent me some pictures of cats, and I was like, oh yeah, you know what? You know who'd appreciate this? Lindsay.
Thanks.
She'd appreciate some cats. And I sent them to you. And then that's it. That was it.
That was the extent of the thought process.
The extent of it was...
There was no like greater romance hiding behind it.
No.
Yeah.
I just got some cat gifts, thought it was funny, and I was like, you know what? I'll share it with her. She's gonna love this. This is gonna be great. And so that was my thinking behind it. And then the song, I just really like that song. And I think I sent it, and I was just like, oh yeah, here, check out the song. I really enjoy it.
Right.
I think you will too. And I remember, it was only later that you told me, you're like, oh my God, I thought it was this, until, you realized that I was just sending you things randomly.
Right.
That you're like, oh yeah, that's reading into it a little bit too much. And that's the whole point, right? It's like, don't read into things. Behind the scenes, things were going really well between you and I, right?
Yeah.
We were really enjoying ourselves and everything was cool. But, just keeping it simple and not overthinking it and not making those texts fit a grander narrative and like a greater story than it was, that you just got some text and some cats and a pretty cool song.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I was totally out of line for thinking that.
Exactly. No, I don't think
meant
you were.
A little more, especially with the song.
Right.
But
yeah, it's a very
it's like a little romantic kind of song.
Right.
Yeah. But I would say that
it's also very catchy.
Yes, it is. What was I going to say? I was going to say that even at the time when you did send me that text with the song, I was sort of like, okay, all right. But I didn't spend a ton of time ruminating on it, being like, oh, what does he think? I don't know what this means. What is this, like, what are we now? Or anything like that. It was just sort of like, all right, that's a curious, interesting choice of a song to send. But yeah, I didn't try to like search all that hard for any sort of deeper meaning. And
right.
Yeah, and there were a couple times when, neither of us knew exactly how things were going to end up, or like we didn't like map out an exact plan of where we were going. But like, it was just sort of like, okay, well, I like seeing him. I like what we're doing so far. So I'm just going to keep doing that and see how it goes. Yeah.
Well, and it came out pretty organically, I think.
Right.
What developed. But, right, so going back to, overthinking things and not letting them mean something, I think I would, go back to my older days of, dating around and, just overthinking, each text and each call, and what does the situation mean? Where really, I think I would have saved a lot of time and had a peace of mind if I just sent out a text and said, hey, let's meet up, or just kept things simple, not ruminate on things.
Right. Yeah, I used to do a little bit of that. If I was like texting a crush or something like that, of, what does this mean? What should I say? Or how long should I wait until I text them? And eventually I just kind of got tired of it. And then I was just like, all right, well, I'm just not going to text them unless I actually have something that I want to say. And like something that I think is relevant to us, So I'm not just going to, because one of the things that really would bother me is when somebody would just like send a random text of like, hey, but then nothing else, or would just like randomly text me selfies, and I was just like, I did not ask for these, thank you, but no thanks. And I was like, well, I don't like those things, so I'm not going to do those things to other people. And so like with you, especially early on, we like didn't really text during the week at all.
Well, I think that's also sacrilege in a lot of initial relationships, right? Like people would take that as a very bad sign.
Well, right, because it's like, oh, what does this mean? Why hasn't he texted me? It's been 2 days already. He must like be seeing some other girl. And, like, I don't know. I kind of assumed that you would probably be seeing other people, but like at the same time, like I was also kind of trying to see other people. So it's like, I can't get mad at you for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's just like, all right, yeah, maybe he's seeing other people. But like, I'd text you, and it was just my thought process behind it was, well, regardless of whether or not he's seeing other people, I still enjoy hanging out with him. And if he enjoys hanging out with me, then he'll hang out with me. And if not, then he won't. And it won't continue. And that's it. But like, there's no way to figure that out unless I text him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right? Because I think that's the biggest honest signal that we had going, is that we wanted to keep seeing each other. And that kept progressing. And I think a lot of people, I mean, I've definitely had that where, you know, you just get busy, get caught up in something, and then, you know, you have a job, you get caught up in it. And yeah, I mean, some people just take that as a slight against them. And it's nothing personal. It's just, you know, it's just busy. Yeah.
And my modus operandi, that thing, thank you very much, was just that, you know, I would get like, hey, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt until you give me evidence to prove otherwise. And so, you know, when you didn't text me, or, you know, if I texted you and then it took you 5 hours to text me back, it's just like, all right, well, whatever. It just took him, like, I don't know. It's just like, all right, that's whatever. You know, you've given me no reason to worry about it yet. So I don't know.
Right.
And what was I going to say? Oh, and then eventually too, you know, it's like, because early on, you know, it's like you don't know the person, so anything could be going on in their life. Like you said, you know, you could be busy at work, or you could just get caught up in something. Maybe you've been looking at one too many cats and you lost track of time. But eventually, you know, the more that we spent time with each other, we ended up like building a routine. And it was sort of just, you know, expected that you'd come over every weekend, and building from there.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah, so it wasn't like this huge, oh, what's going to happen this weekend? Because eventually it was just like, oh, all right, more than likely going to hang out.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I think that's the biggest, you know, honest signal is, you know, I'd be down to hang out, and, you know, eventually we got onto a routine, and we're off to the races. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up, is that for us happened kind of organically. Mm-hmm. And I equate relationships and a lot of things in life are, you know, you have to let them blossom organically. You know, you can't force the tree to grow. You know, you have to just nurture it, give it a little water, plant the seed, and it'll grow. Yeah. And I think a lot of people just think that there's a formula for it, and you know, if they scream at it, or they get upset about it, or, you know, they get sad about it, or, you know, uproot it, especially, you know, forcing it. And that's not a winning strategy.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of people get nervous because, especially early on in a relationship, things are just so uncertain, and they want that stability and that certainty of a relationship. So they try to force it too early on, and that's just going to make the relationship hurt. And maybe, you know, in the long run it works out, but it's going to cause more trouble, you know, in the beginning, and it could potentially, you know, break it later on, because I don't know, maybe some people like to feel forced into a relationship, but I know personally for me, and I know for you, that it's like we're both very independent people, and it's like, no, don't tell me what to do. Like, I'm an adult and I can make my own decisions, and like if I say I don't want a relationship, then I really mean it, and you're not going to be able to convince me otherwise. Or if I say, hey, maybe, but not really sure yet, like, let's give it more time and see, then that's what I mean. And there's no, you know, you can't like trick somebody into a relationship. And so trying to push them or trick them or convince them is generally not going to work. If they're like a healthy, well-rounded person, like that's not going to work on them. It's just going to push them away.
Right. And I forgot the YouTuber's name, but there was something like dark psychological tricks to...
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know where I'm going with that. It's like anytime you have to force or coerce somebody into doing something that they don't want to naturally do, or it's just like, what are you doing? You're going to have... you're gonna have a really bad time, you know, and that drama and coercion is gonna come back at you, 10x.
Right. Yeah. Well, because that person even said explicitly, don't go for confident girls, and it's like basically saying like specifically like go for girls who have low self-esteem because it won't work on a girl who has any sort of confidence. And it's like that already right there should be like a red flag. Right.
And I remember he was like, it's just like, it's amazing because I don't know, it reminds me of that quote that you don't see the world as it is, you see it as you are.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's so true because that guy, I don't know if he realizes it or not, but you have to be a flawed kind of like, you almost have to be a broken human being to want to be around broken human beings. I don't mean like anybody's broken, but I just mean like, low self-esteem. And if somebody's like psychologically unstable, and they're easily manipulated, it's just like my first instinct isn't like, hey, I want to take advantage of you.
Right.
It's
right.
like, no, that's questionable. That's a questionable outlook on a situation, and you're going to attract people that are like that. And that's not fun. That's not going to be a good time.
Right. Because especially, because it's like we all have our own things that we're working through and we all feel insecure about certain things. And I wouldn't want somebody taking advantage of me in that situation if I'm feeling insecure about a particular thing. And like, I wouldn't want to take advantage of somebody who's feeling insecure about something either. Like, it just doesn't feel good. And like, I don't know, like to me, it's like, I'd rather be with somebody who is an enthusiastic yes about me rather than they don't know any better.
Yeah, or that you tricked them.
Right, and then they like find out later and get pissed off.
Yeah, and that's why, it's controversial, I think, enough, but because people in general play a lot of games and there's a lot of signaling, but honesty is really the best policy because at some point you have to stop pretending.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's better to be, sort of the best you could be authentically and put yourself out there and just communicate. And that's the whole point of like being direct and communicating that directly, because that's a powerful position. It means, you don't have to have you don't have an agenda. You're not trying to hide anything, and you're just being vulnerable, direct, and forward. And it's up to the person. And you can attract people that are also like that. People that are open, direct, and forward.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's part of keeping it simple and not overthinking things is, when you're just honest and direct about who you are, you don't have to think of, oh, what should I tell them? How should I present myself? What should I say so that I look better? It's just like, no, this is who I am. And either you're going to be really into it or you're not. And either way is okay.
Yeah. Agreed.
Cool. Anything else?
Not that here we go.
What's that? Throwing that in. Speaking of, either you're going to like it or you're not. If you do, subscribe.
Hit that little bell.
Yep.
Okay, very good. No, I think that's it. I think keeping things simple, don't overcomplicate things. I think we all have a story that we tell about what happened. There's the situation and then there's the story, the way we interpret it. And a lot of the times the problem is with the story. It's not with what happened. It's like what happened is what happened. But that's disaggregating that and taking that apart is very hard for a lot of people, because they live their stories, and their stories is what happened to them. It's not like it's just like I can't think of an example.
Well, it's hard to separate yourself from the stories that you're living, or the experiences that you're living, because you lived them. So it can be really hard to take a step back and to look at it from a more objective point of view, and to sometimes accept things for what they are. One example for me is when my ex-girlfriend broke up with me. I had a really hard time getting over that. And I kept telling myself, oh, well, if she just did this, or if she was just this way, then it could have worked out. And it wasn't until, way later, looking back on it now, I'm like, no, me trying to convince myself that it could have worked out, and overthinking it and thinking of like, oh, was there anything that I had done wrong or whatever? It's like, that's not helping this situation. That's not going to make this situation any better. And if anything, it just made it harder for me. And I think it probably, like, even after we broke up, like, pushed her away even more, because like I'd be a wreck every time I saw her. And then it's like, all right, definitely doesn't, then it's like, okay, I definitely don't want to be around you if you can't like hold yourself together.
Right.
And when really it's just like, hey, we're not compatible, and and like we're not good together, and that's it. And that's fine. And, and it's just like that. It's the simplest thing where it's just like, we just weren't a good fit. And we had to go in different directions in our lives. But it's like being able to, and it wasn't until I was able to take a step back and just like see the reality of like who she was as a person and who I am as a person, and finally like come to terms with like, oh, all right, no, it's much better that we broke up.
Right. Yeah, I mean, how many times do you look back on your past relationships and go, that's the one that got away? No way. No way. I mean,
maybe some people, but not for me.
Oh my God. Not for me either. Not in a million years.
Yeah. Like generally, if you broke up, there's a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's usually a simple one. It's not that complex.
Yeah.
Yeah. So keeping it simple, keeping it direct, keeping it moving forward, and letting things evolve naturally.
Yep. All right.
All right. You wanna we're gonna well, let's do the outro.
All right. Doing the outro. Music is playing. Mm-hmm. One day we'll be more structured. Future goals.
Where's the...
Should be playing. I don't know. Should be popping up. Maybe not.
It's not happening.
Maybe not. Did I?
Where is it? Where is it?
I don't know. There you go.
We gotta fix those coffees. Those coffees are still there.
Okay. They're important. They're important members. Sorry, I was scratching my head.
Staples.
Yeah.
So what are we're gonna have the set. We already have the set. We're just filling in the shelves on the TV. But yeah, I already got a new studio for us.
Cool.
So for the next time, we should be coming live from the new and upgraded studio.
Very good.
You want to do a little subscribe button again?
Maybe I do.
Yeah, and I think there's also a little bit of a delay, but I think we'll work that out by the next time.
It's not working. I don't know why.
Are you pressing the little I?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. We'll have to figure that out.
All right,
Sorry
everybody.
about the technical difficulties.
Remember to subscribe.
Yeah, for more. All right.